All right, here we go. After Party 25. We're going to talk today about episode 75, which is entitled Party Time Excellent. Episode 76, the Crackum Quorum. And episode 77, which is called Asking for a Friend.
Crackum? Crackum.
Crackum.
Just keep going. You got this.
Emily and I both looked at each other.
Like, what did he just say? What I think he said?
I was also gonna let it go.
Really? I said Crackum?
Yeah.
I thought I said Kraken.
It's on tape.
Crackum.
It's recorded. How do you say it's not on tape anymore?
Kraken Quorum. Okay.
There you go.
That's a tough one. It's like unique New York. Unique New York.
Oh, I'm not even going to try that one.
So, yeah, let's get started by talking about March Madness. We just finished it up, and everyone should know who the victor is, which was just a shock to me. I mean, I wanted Barry all the way. I was 100%
That
in
was
on Barry.
rigged.
Rugar was my second.
Rigged. It was not rigged.
I was rooting for Rugar.
I promise.
I didn't see it coming.
I really liked Rugar for it as well. I would have been pumped. I mean, he came close,
Yeah, he did.
but that jerk Sardo.
Jerk Sardo.
Well, if Rugar had a better battlefield awareness, then maybe he would have been okay.
That's true. I think it was the wagon that really was his
It was his downfall.
He was staying too close to the wagon.
The wagon is Rugar's greatest strength and greatest failing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Rugar.
Flew too high is what he did.
You'll
Flew
be
too
forever
close.
in our hearts, buddy.
Well,
Who
would
is
have
it?
thought?
Who is it that started beating Sardo with his own hand? Like when his hand came off?
Oh, Izzy
Was it
animated his
Izzy?
own hands.
Izzy. Yeah.
Animated his
Started
hands.
smacking him with his own
So
hands.
good. Didn't you say something about like it wasn't a hand job, it was a reach around or something?
From the 9th level of the abyss or whatever it was.
You'll be losing on this deal.
Snuck that little sexual reference in there.
Oh,
Izzy's
man.
a thirsty girl. Izzy's thick and thirsty.
Sardo's a
freak.
thirst trap. Have you seen him?
Well, so what did you all think of the March Madness? I mean, you think it was successful? I don't really know what we were starting out to do. I think really we were just trying to churn through some of our backlog, and we definitely did that.
Yeah.
We need to play again. We might not have an episode for Thursday.
We were very excited to share the Heraklion roleplay with everyone, I think. And then somehow it actually turned into this, like, cage match situation.
I loved it. I loved
Which I
listening to
loved.
it.
I did too.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
I liked posting the brackets out and, seeing what was going to happen and having that little bit of excitement at the end of every episode where most of the time I was pretty happy with the outcome, but there was a few that I was
Aw,
like, I think
Grimby.
Leland mentioned before, if we do this again next year, we can maybe add a little bit of character,
Stats.
more character skills
Planning.
that might, adjust, Chucky, Chucky doesn't bring a lot to the table, right? But, he can take somebody out if he's got his stuff. But no, I really liked it overall. I had a good time listening to it. I still, once again, Sardos, the Revenant Magician, was not my top pick.
Never would have called that one.
He might have been the dark horse in this one, yeah.
But it's not like an underdog story that you're rooting for. You're just... Grimby's the underdog you were rooting for,
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
But
sad.
that little, like...
He got robbed.
How did you make the sound effect?
Grimby's head is chummed. That was probably my favorite line out of the whole. It's so good.
Yeah, I had a really good time putting them together. Some of them I felt were much weaker than than some others, but
It did seem like one of them you were trying to be quiet, like your neighbors were, it was really late at night.
yeah, the last few, it was literally like 2 a.m. of the release day that I was recording them.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, because there was some was like, yeah, well, and then they're, okay, here's what's happening.
Yeah, more like
I'm
I was
"It must be
announcing
late."
golf. And And he goes for the 6-foot putt, and it's good. That's a birdie on hole 3.
No, it's fun, and it'd be great to do it again next year, and maybe we'll do something else. Maybe not a bracket type of thing, but maybe something with NPC characters in the future, too.
I mean, Leland said that's it till next year, as if he's doing it again, so it's happening.
Yeah, but he had a lot of fun doing it,
He
so
said
he'd
it.
be willing to do it again. I mean, do something else with him, right? Right, Leland?
He's got good clips for audiobook auditions.
We'll kill all the NPCs.
Oh, there you go.
I thought it was just a really cool way to like kind of shine a little bit of light on all the NPCs. Not all the NPCs, but a good showing of all the NPCs we've had.
Yeah, when I was putting the list together, I was like, where do you stop? It just kept going and going with all these great NPCs, and then we just randomly picked the bracket, but there were so many other good ones that would have been fun to put in there.
Well, I mean, so I guess next year, where does Sardo fit into the brackets? He's the reigning champ. What kind of boost does he get for that, as far as stats go?
He gets a handicap, actually.
You should do what March Madness actually does, right? Number 1 plays number 16. Like, they have the advantage.
Or we do bracket as normal, and then whoever ends up being the winner next year goes against Sardo for one final bout.
Right. Afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is that how basketball works?
so like in basketball,
Basketball.
So at least in NCAA, if you get first, second, third, fourth, like in your division or whatever, that is an advantage. So like first place plays 16, second place plays 15, third place 14.
Aren't they almost guaranteed to win most of the time, though?
A lot, yeah, but a lot are upset as well. But that's the way they do it. I mean, some listener could correct me, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it was done years ago when I used to follow it. Anyway.
In 17 years, when we have 16 winners, then we do an all championship.
Now you're talking.
There you go.
I mean, by then, John will be dead. I'll be married to Emily. Who knows how the show will look like then? Oh, shit. All that was off mic.
Yeah, I won't be around 16 years, more than likely. We've all established that.
Oh, man.
I'll write on my post-it note here so we'll remember. Okay. So you ready to get into the episodes?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm having fun with this.
All right. So 75, party time, excellent. Takes place at the party at the Elder Keep, where we're all hanging out at the doorway, checking out the crowd at the beginning. And so a couple bulleted items I have here. We see Tenchi, who slips out the door, side door of the party. And I don't think we ever talk about Tenchi slipping out again, other than we know he went that way.
Falsey didn't see him.
He just went to the bathroom.
I think it was, Shaft and maybe Mia. But, I mean, I'm just bringing some of these things up so we can talk about it. Why do you guys think Tenchi was there?
He's a high-ranking member of society.
Tenchi?
I wonder if he's got some...
Tenchi's tattoo guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a high-ranking member.
He's got the best potty in the joint.
I mean, there's another secret passageway in the washroom. Duh. You guys just didn't find it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Leland specifically brought up that Tenchi was there and left.
Yeah,
so
there's significance. Yeah. Absolutely.
Why? What do you guys
what are you talking about? Just flavor in the crowd. I mean, it could be nothing.
Yeah.
If we've learned nothing, that you don't say... It's like when you watch a movie and the camera pans across the desktop and it stops on the orange, and then it cuts and you go, well, that means something. He didn't do that for nothing. He didn't bring up Tenchi for no reason. So Tenchi's there.
Unless
Tenchi's sort of
we've said that too many times, and now he's doing it to throw us off.
Oh, he's reverse psychologizing us.
Oh, that's metagaming. I don't subscribe to that method of dungeon mastering.
Good man, Leland.
For real, though, I have no idea why Tenchi's there.
Well, for all you know, all the others could have a tramp stamp of their own.
Yeah, who knows?
That's true.
Yeah,
well,
so
Alamar
it's illegal to do it on
Except
Heracleon.
It's tradition above all else. Right on his lower back.
Yeah.
I think what this means is we need to be a little careful when dealing with Tenchi potentially, because he could be given information to the elders. Did you mention anything about Tenchi talking to any of the elders or anything, or we just saw him slipping
you
out the
walked
door?
in, and basically as you were walking in, he was slipping out of the ballroom.
So he didn't see us.
He went over towards where the bathrooms are, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yes.
he exited the same room that Falsey and Shaft did.
And over there's bathrooms, as well as the elders are kind of on another hallway. The elder
There was,
rooms.
if you recall, the hallway was a T-shape. There was a northern passage in which neither of you went down, but you decided to go west, down the west hallway, which does lead to the elder studies and their private dorms. Yeah.
Oh, see, I thought the northern hallway, I thought there was like an upside down horseshoe that the elders' rooms were all dotted around, and we went up one way and then over and then down again.
No, that's
There was
very
a
weird.
map
You were
right in front of you.
confused when you had a map the entire 4.5 hours we were playing. So
Okay,
that's
I
very...
want to say
Yeah.
I didn't have a map the entire time because I didn't know the map existed for most of the playtime.
I know.
How did
you
that happen?
commented on it near the end of our play.
It was on roll 20, guys.
We were all in roll 20.
I was moving your character
zoomed
for
in
you.
on one little part.
Oh. To be fair, it is a big map, and the most of it was under covered by fog of war too. So most of it is just like a black screen. So yeah, it was a large map. But yeah, I did describe the hallway as being a T. So you're familiar with what a capital T looks like, correct, William?
I mean, there's different shapes of capital T's.
Ooh, he
Oh, of
busted out
course.
the
There's
William.
Are we
gonna be a
talking
cursive.
Times New Roman or?
Yeah, so Tenchi could have went in a variety of directions. And of course, so the southern passage of that T would loop you back around to the front entrance of the keep as well.
Okay.
All right, then we do what we typically did in most episodes is we immediately split the party. I think the important thing to note here was we wanted to send Mia and Shakara up to talk to the elders because we felt that they would probably have the best chance of being listened to rather than Falzarin, who they don't like for the most part, and Shaft, who has a little bit of a history with Isabella, but probably with Dr. Isabella Good, he's in pretty good standing with. So then we decided to split off, and let's see. We learned that Mia and Falzarin both are pretty knowledgeable of how party etiquette works. Both of you guys mentioned that you know how these things go down. Any comments on Mia's ability to move a party along, kind of thing?
Well, first of all, let's just note that Emily, while you read that, was cackling quietly. And she did not make my job easier at all, ever, talking to these elders.
Shakara was a little bit frustrated.
I will say that you did help me when I got all riled up in episode whatever. So you did eventually help me. I do have a bunch of notes for you, John, about Mia's waiting for the right time and party etiquette, whatever. Essentially, Leland and I had talked about it, like, because of my background, we said, like, I would potentially know how things operate a little bit better, have a little bit more of a handle on things. However, he was not specific in, like, what that meant, and it's fine. It wasn't, like, this whole long conversation we had or anything like that, right? Like, I just didn't know what I would do at the party, and I think he said, like, well, you know how parties operate.
No, I think someone of your background would definitely be able to. You'd be, running a lot of these things at the temple, where you'd be putting things together. Yeah, I think you were the person that probably should have done most of the talking in the situation in front of the elders.
The issue becomes, like, I didn't have huge plans on what to say, and sort of also was waiting or wondering if something was going to happen. And, like, I would know when that moment was because something would happen, and then nothing happened. Like, I was kind of waiting and stalling for Leland, and then he was, like, stalling for me. Like, I don't know.
Oh, he was giving us time for rope.
Yeah, that's true too.
I wasn't stalling for anything.
Like stalling for me.
If you recall in that, it was a quick Discord message that you and I had, which
It's very quick.
I'll bet everything I have in my savings account that you did not go back and reread it before we played that session.
Probably not.
Exactly.
Shade.
So the direction in
Shade
which I gave you, I didn't, of course, you don't explicitly know how the party is going to play out, because how could Mia know that? But what I was getting at, which I think you role played well, is that there's a certain procedure in a party like this. It was very clear when you walked in how choreographed this opening kind of dance was as they were going on the floor, and later as the night progresses, which I don't think we got into any of these episodes. How once that was all over, then the party really started to begin. So there was everyone was gathered for a reason, in which Mia was aware. There wasn't much direction exactly on how it was going to go down, but
I think I was pretty aware of the fact that we were in full armor, totally not blending in.
Right.
And then besides the fact that maybe Dragonborn didn't stand out or whatever, I think maybe we didn't do this on purpose, Emily, but I feel like Mia and Shakara played the young adult really well. We just we kind of know what we're doing and are adults, quote unquote, but I'm 20 and you're 15, whatever, for Dragonborn, and we just kind of fudged it, right?
Yeah.
We just kind of knew enough and knew what to tell them, but it, again, John and Bill didn't hear some of the stuff, right? But
that's what we're going to go to next, if you guys are ready to get into that. Well, the next thing I had written down was that we may not have noticed that Leland did mention that Catalina was at the party, which is Brindle's wife, and was dancing out on the dance floor. And
flirting with some other guy, it sounded like.
Yeah, so any thoughts on why Catalina...
She's potentially unaware of Brendel's death and or doesn't care or was in on the Brendel being a Deep Scion and is a Deep Scion herself?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Theories here. I mean, she doesn't know Brendel's dead, I would assume.
That's my
unless
assumption
she
as well.
is a Deep Scion herself.
If she's a Deep Scion, she might know. They have ways of communicating information, the whole cult and all that.
Deep Scion magic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Deep Scion
right,
magic.
but even, if she was a Deep Scion and she knows, she wouldn't be acting that way. And I think what John is getting at, regardless of what she knows or doesn't know, how is she presenting herself to the public? And what is the public's knowledge of her husband's passing or state of living, whatever it is, coincide with how she's acting?
I mean, Brindle had maybe some kind of status, right? I mean, his wife has been at this party. She's obviously dressed appropriately and being asked to dance. Maybe she has some kind of in with the elders, or which maybe Brindle then did also.
Mm-hmm.
Just theories.
I don't think anybody would necessarily know that Brendel's dead.
No, I don't think they know he's dead.
How would they know?
He might have been in as part of their team or have something to do with them, and maybe that means they're all Deep Scions, or maybe that means he was infiltrating the elders. I mean, there's a lot of different things you could look at here. The fact that she was there and he brought it up is really the important thing.
Yeah. On the point of the way she's behaving, though, which is happy and carefree, I don't think that's necessarily uncharacteristic of someone in her shoes who assumes that her husband is off on an errand finding his good friend to tell him about something or whatever, right?
Yep.
Is that Falzern's perspective or your own? Because, see, I'm less trusting. I feel like she could know and she's acting.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't think it's a stretch to also say that if she's not a Deep Scion, she's just living her life, waiting for Brendel to come back once he's found Falzarin.
What does Falzarin think?
I think Falzarin's wary that she might have been in on the Deep Scion thing. That's top of his mind.
I mean, it was something you were going to do. You were going to go tell her that he's dead.
The problem with doing that Yeah, he feels an obligation to do that regardless of whether it's a bit risky or not. On the off chance that she wasn't in on it, she deserves to know.
So has Falzarin thought about how that conversation will play out? What's the extent of the information you're going to give her? Like, you're going to be like, hey, guess what? Your hubby was a fucking traitor and stabbed me in my goddamn wizard back. And it's some weird...
I feel like...
Can I get you a drink?
Well, yeah.
Would you like to dance?
we talked about Falzarin's trust issues a lot, and then I don't feel like you're playing him as having many trust issues.
He is very, very wary of Catalina, but
you would tell her?
That doesn't override the fact that he feels an obligation, should she not be involved in Brendel's deep psioniness, to tell Catalina that Brendel is deceased.
Sure, I mean, Falzarin had a relationship with Brendel, and by extension has a relationship with Brendel's wife. I mean,
right?
Yeah, Bill and I haven't had the conversation in depth as to what exactly that relationship is like. So, I mean, that's probably something we should talk about, maybe.
Yeah. I've always thought that since Brendel was basically Falzarin's best friend on the island, he would be relatively close with Catalina as well. They would definitely they'd be an amicable relationship. And so, yeah, like I said, if she had no clue about him being a deep scion, he can't just not tell her that Brendel's passed away. It's risky for sure, and he's worried about that. In case she was in on it, then he's putting himself in a dangerous situation.
Would you tell her how he died?
I think I would.
And that you killed him.
I would play it one thing at a time. I would start off with breaking the news to her that he has died and see how she reacts, and be making lots of perception rolls.
Insight.
Who actually killed Brendel?
Insight, Bill. Get it right.
Yeah, insight.
Did I kill Brendel, or did he kill Brendel?
I can't remember who did the final blow. I think it might have been
killed Brendel.
Bryn, yeah. Actually, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Bryn did?
I think it was Bryn.
Oh, well then it's none of our fault.
Yeah. Your husband's killer is dead.
It's not like Bill didn't try, and John didn't hit him either, but...
We could just say, yeah, this lady killed your husband, and Shakara over there killed her.
Because Bryn, I remember when I played Bryn, I was so much more pissed at Brendel that I took him out first, caring about him, leaving the other ones there.
Oh,
okay,
man.
so this brings us to
before
something...
we move on, though, it's one last question for Falsey is like how bad do you think it'll be if Catalina spots you before you approach her?
It's going to be a bit of a sticky wicket.
Like, she just sees you at this party, and she's like, "Oh my goodness, Falzarin! Oh, where's my husband?"
I made a conscious decision to try and not be seen by her or anyone else.
Yeah.
Because I don't really want to have a confrontation with the elders in the middle of this big party, especially given that Isabella Good is sitting along with them. So if Catalina sees me, that makes it a lot more likely that there's going to be more commotion, and one of them's going to spot me. One of the elders would spot me. So
did you
that's
guys,
why.
As John and Bill, in the parts that you could hear and overheard, do you know why Isabella is in Heraklion?
No. Well, she's a special guest,
guesses?
but well, I, as Shaft, think with the knowledge that I have from what's his name, the little gnome dude, Tinnerman. Alstoff. I think he believes that she's there to gain favor with the elders, or he should already gain favor with the elders, to somehow link that in with the paladins. But I haven't put all those pieces together yet.
What's your theory, Bill? Why is Isabella on Heraklion?
It's obvious that, I think we can assume that Falsey knows that she's the guest of honor.
Falzarin does know why Isabella's here.
So Bill just forgot.
Falzarin found something in Alamar's study. You found a a piece of parchment with
right.
a rough
Yes.
with a rough speech.
So Shaft is the only one that doesn't know why Isabella is in the guest of honor.
Currently, yeah, I think so.
Okay,
yeah.
There's been no time to have a conversation about it. I thought it was fun.
So now we're getting to the place where in the after party we're gonna do a first thing we've never done, where we go off mic, where you guys can talk about what Shakara and Mia talk to the elders about, and I'm gonna not listen, and Falzer and I are not gonna listen in, and hopefully we can, because we're gonna be doing the exact opposite here in a minute with Shaft and Falzer and talking to Leland. So
all we did was learn that McLaren's Finest is the best type of ink for your spellbook. And I
could have told you that.
I wanted to ask Leland if he had that prepared or if that was on the spot.
That was off the cuff, yeah.
You're like, well, of course it's McLaren's Finest.
We ran into one of the party goers who mistaked us for entertainment.
Actors,
Shakara got a little upset.
That was hilarious.
Shakara needs to chill. Bill, how did you hear that?
Well,
this is what.
Seriously,
that sounds
you Adios are fucking terrible for abiding by those timestamps. Honestly,
I wanted to ask Leland.
This is well before that. Like, okay, we're talking about this. There was no reason then. So let me back up. So in the time of recording, we split up, and obviously when we split, I had no idea really what either segment would contain as far as information in regards to the characters that were not there. So obviously in hindsight, it's very easy to say, yeah, everyone could have listened to this. And there was a point even in that recording where we got, Bill had said, you know what, I think the girls could probably come back. The ladies could come back and be on mic for this. And I said, no, I'm going to keep you apart. And that was basically because I was it was all driving to you, culminating in Alamar's office with Falsey and Shaft Invisible and all this stuff. So I kind of knew that was where it was going to eventually lead to as things were progressing. So that's why I kept us apart. I don't know if any of you recall that Discord exchange we had at the time. But that's why after the fact, then for listening, I know Emily actually said in Discord, I think, that it was probably fine. But all the characters involved should both be like, yeah, you guys can all listen, right? So that we avoid this in the future, where John could have just listened to it, and then we could have all just been fucking talking about it right now.
Well, it sounds like we can.
We said you could listen to our part. But anyway, wanted to
Emily
ask
said that you could. I don't believe. I didn't see you agree and say, yeah, that's fine.
Yes, I did.
Well, okay, all right. Then it was missed. Then it was missed.
Fight.
And Bill said it was fine, and John said nothing. And then when John did chime in, he said, no, I'd rather you not. Because he's Shaft.
Right.
Duh.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think that's why I ended up listening. I thought that I got the okay, but
I didn't listen to all of it. I listened
to
all of 75. And then I listened to 8 minutes of 77.
Okay, so you guys went up and talked to the elders. I just have written down here off mic. So you guys didn't really get anything.
Shakara got mad at me for taking my time in the ballroom and everything. And then Leland came up to us as an NPC and, he thought we were acting. And I wanted to ask Leland if he really had a play prepared for this ceremony because he said, oh, are you the play? It started early. Oh, and I was like, I don't know. Today I was like, did Leland have a play he was going to act out as a one-person NPC?
He asked you if you were here to put on a play.
Because of what you were wearing.
I thought you said the play. As if there was one planned.
Maybe I did. I don't know. But
okay, so that made me think that you had one planned. We eventually get within 10 feet of the table, and we remember that Geneva was someone that Falzarin liked and trusted, and we talked to Geneva a little bit.
Well, fortunately, we caught her eye and kind of motioned for her to come talk to us.
Yeah. That's literally all that happened, and then you heard us talk to all the elders. So
you are missing one thing is in the crowd. You were listening to a bunch of the party goers.
We pointed out the fact. So Alamar made a speech announcing why the guest of honor.
No, but before that, you've heard some people over talking and commenting about the shell ship and seeing shell ships.
Okay, yeah, true.
The Rising
so
Three.
our ship has drawn attention.
But apparently not many people from the city actually go to the port, so it was a lot of hearsay.
That's
A lot of people talking about it, but not actually seeing it themselves.
So yeah, I guess if John would listen to it, Shaft just has to remember he doesn't know this.
Right.
Should we talk about what Alamar announced then? Since everyone else heard it?
I'll take my headphones off and you guys can talk about it real quick, because I don't want to know.
Well, basically, does anyone want to comment on the fact that she's now a sixth elder? Like, that's...
Well, they're not going to have an uneven number, so they're not going to have somebody to be a final tie-break vote. I mean, that was really just stupid on their part.
Amen.
I want to know... her and Alamar must be working together or sleeping together or something. Or both. Well, think about it. Like, he has so much pull, and so, like, why...
Well,
it makes me think instantly if Izzy, which Mia doesn't know because Shaft hasn't said anything about Elstoff and everything to Mia and Shakara, right? So we don't know that Isabella is related to what happened at the port and the metal animals and the paladins and all this stuff. Mia and Shakara don't know that. But knowing that and knowing that Elstoff is announcing her as an elder means they're working together, to me.
Maybe.
It's the elders also function by majority vote. It's not just all Alamar, necessarily.
Okay, well, Alamar is very pro-Izzy.
So he can certainly, talk into the other elders' ears and try and convince them of his motives, should he want to, if he's pro-Izzy, which obviously it sounds like he is. But I don't think he's the only bad one.
And he's not necessarily bad. I mean, Izzy could be bamboozling him.
Right.
Sure, but something's shady. Something's not...
Who else is upset that the Tabaxi elder wasn't part of the NPC March Madness so he could get smushed?
Oh, yeah. That would have been nice.
His voice.
Oh, man, he's such a jerk.
Keek? Was that his name, Keek?
No, that's Gundar. Keek's a human.
I don't like Gundar.
Yeah, I like Gundar.
You would.
He's sassy.
You would.
Shakara wanted to smack him a new one.
All right. Well, poor Shaft. He knows the most about Izzy and everything, and then he doesn't know that she's now an elder. But anyway, let's let John back on the mic.
Okay. So then the next thing was Falzarin and Shaft going into the hallway, having a chit chat, and then going in and doing our little invisibility thing.
Your shenanigans.
The stall. Yeah, in the stall. So what I have written down here is always remember to cast Pass Without a Trace before invisibility.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
That's a nice little... I liked how that played out.
It's like, nope, you did it. Tough luck.
We would have been unstoppable.
Yeah, sure. I guess it was fine when you were both together, but invisibly, as soon as the two of you split up, then Falsey doesn't benefit from Pass Without a Trace, right? It's within 30 feet of Shaft.
Yeah. Right, but I'm not worried about that.
Of course, Shaft's not worried about that.
Shaft's out for Shaft.
I got shit to do. So yeah, we walked around. I enjoyed the in my head all the time of not knowing where he was and how we were going to communicate with each other, both being invisible, walking around. So I wanted to have a little bit of fun there. I would have played that up a little bit more looking back. But we sort of split up, walked into some different rooms. Let's see, I have down here that one of my favorite parts of the whole separation thing was the Scroll of Dimension Door and the push-pull of Falzarin and, can I take it? Should I not take it? What's it worth? Can I leave some money? What will make me feel better about stealing this? And,
did you hear that part, Emily, or no?
No, I don't
John,
know that.
John, it's not stealing if you leave gold to pay for it.
So it was worth $25. He put it back and had to try. He was going to tie the ribbon back together so it looked like nobody touched it. Then, when he found out he knew it was worth about 2,500 gold pieces, he thought, "Well, this is just way too valuable for me to pass up." How many hours of time would you estimate this took? And she probably makes minimum wage. So then did a little bit of calculation, came up with 50 gold pieces. So at one point, he was being really careful that the ribbon was tied up exactly the way it was. And now, when Sybil comes into her room, she's just going to find a pile of 50 gold pieces.
Yeah, it's going to be obvious without a doubt that someone broke into her room and took the scroll.
I'm sure she'll go in and go, scroll of dimension door, 50 gold, that's probably about right.
Well, I got a raise.
Can she cast some type of spell on those gold coins and figure out who they came from?
Oh, probably.
All of a sudden, we've got one less supporter.
I think that's the elephant in the room.
Sybil was on our side.
John and I are sneaking around in this place, and these are high-level wizards. Like, at least one of them probably knows that we've been sneaking around in their rooms.
Oh, they have to. No doubt.
Yeah. They got booby traps, yeah.
Yeah, they probably have an alarm spell cast or whatever. Like, Alamar, you think Alamar's just chilling with his room, like, not got any wards on it or anything? Like, no way.
No, he knows. He totally knows.
Maybe not, but I don't know. It keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
Alamar.
Yeah, we learned a little bit about where Falzarin's lines are, I believe. Shaft is happy to see you come to the side a little bit more.
I think like the subtitle to our entire podcast is the corruption of Falzarin.
Yeah.
I don't want him to become bad, but I wanted that scroll so bad.
But being bad feels so good.
It sure does.
All right, that pretty much wraps up 75.
When we were in the elders meeting all together, and Leland let John and Bill stay on mic, we instantly were like, oh, they're listening, right? But that's just, like, as players. But as characters, we didn't know that. And he goes, John, you're good, by the way. Ha ha ha. It was, like, such a good little line. And I was like, where is John? What does that even mean?
Yeah, because you didn't know until Leland said that John was hanging out.
Yeah, I debated actually cutting it out, but I mean, like, the listener already knew, and
It's kind of cool.
I just wanted to make it clear to the listener that they weren't wondering, oh, did Shaft make it into the room, or you know, kind of thing.
Right.
So I have a question for Shakara regarding her story to the elders. So, of all the things that you say and all the times that you've thrown Falzarin under the bus lately, like, you literally to Geneva are like, Falzarin's in the back of the room. Like, he's here.
Didn't want that to come back and bite us later. And he's like, oh, why didn't you tell us Falzarin was here?
Yeah, so that's fine. Why did you protect him in the way, or why did you protect the Tritons? You specifically left out the name Tritons.
Because...
You just said friends.
Yeah, I felt that would have been going too far. I mean, it's one thing to say Falzarin's in the back of the room, but he's very protective of the Tritons, and that's not my secret. That's his secret. My secret was Falzarin was there. I could share that.
I took your lead, right? So you didn't say it, and I kind of let you give the story and chimed in when I wanted, but I almost was like letting you say what you wanted to say, you know?
And then we could always claim, well, we didn't know who his friends were. We could, if somebody ever calls us on him, be like, oh, he never told us, because he's so secretive about that.
Yeah, I have written down here that you did sort of, well, not allude to. You said there were missing books in the library, and especially the ones on Deep Scions. And I believe they gave you access to the Keep library, right? He said you can go and look at anything that you want.
Yeah, that punk Alamar is a freaking jerk, though. And, like, he's saying, for sure, he's like, I will have guys look into it. It's like someone saying, like, yeah, we'll look into it. And then it's
He's giving you interns. What are you talking about? He's devoting Keep resources.
He's giving us the most useless interns possible. And...
Well, he didn't say that. And you don't know that. I mean, well, yeah, after your attitude.
Yeah, you sassed him.
Sassed him big time.
Well, Alamar sassed me back.
After you talk about the library, before that happens, we do have one other great voice that came in as Gundar, the cat.
That was a good voice, by the way. That was good.
Gets very pissy about Pisces. Any comments on that?
Well, again, what are fishermen gonna do versus, like, the most powerful wizards in a spot.
Yeah, I thought that was a good comeback.
Yeah, that was good. I think that saved it. I mean, Shakara was definitely losing it at that point.
Yeah, Mia, she was snapping in a Z formation.
I think the question is, why is Gundar saying that? Why would Gundar, as one of the elders in this room, be sort of downplaying and going, why should we get involved? Pisces is not doing anything.
Because he's a freaking deep scion.
No, so what Gundar's problem is that the two of you, Shakara and Mia, were there asking for some proactive measures from Heraklion, when they were also perfectly fine with Pisces doing just enough to defend themselves, in which Alamar had already said, well, Heraklion will also do that. That's why Mia's comeback was so good. But that was really what Gundar's thing was, like, yeah, why are you asking so much of us? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, why is it good enough for Pisces to defend and not good enough for Heraklion to defend?
Sure.
Oh.
I guess, like, we were asking Heraklion to do more proactive in the way of, like, we really do want them to help us hunt this thing down and kill it young. But again, I think with the smartest minds that we have around us, like, can we not figure out a way to track it or do something where we're not scouring the whole sea for this thing? I mean, it doesn't seem to be hiding far. I think there could be a plan, but yeah, I don't know.
And also with all of the knowledge in Heraklion, can we not find a way to much more effectively battle this thing rather than just, shooting arrows at it and taking an axe at this thing, right? So like, It'd be nice if there were some knowledge tucked away in Heraklion that would tell us its weaknesses and how we can best fight this huge, powerful beast.
So then Sybil, who is the one I think you stole the scroll from, she Sybil's not? I thought it was.
No, sorry, I was shaking my head because I'm like, poor Sybil.
Oh, no, okay.
Poor Sybil.
Yeah, so Sybil, and we mention, as Leland mentions, holding her obsidian wand.
Yeah,
the thing
he
to
did.
Put in your mind.
Still holding
and
it.
And then she is very much not convinced that this is a threat. So why do you think Sybil, as one of the elders, is taking that stance?
I wasn't sure how to read Sybil, because is it that she doesn't believe it and there's something going on with this obsidian wand, maybe, or she's just a very, very nervous, anxious person and this wand is like her thing that makes her feel more safe and she doesn't want to believe it because she's in denial because it makes her too terrified.
She's a head in the sand kind of person. She
right,
won't
yeah,
believe
is
it
she
until
an
she actually
ostrich?
sees it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And her wants her security blanket.
I mean, staring at two chicks in full armor, she might not feel comfortable enough putting her wand away.
That's a very good point, too.
Did Falzarin say at any point in time what his thoughts were about either Gundar or Sybil?
No.
Friend or foe?
No, he basically only made comments about Alamar and Geneva.
Okay. Well, that's when we get the great line, "Oh, be quiet, Alamar." And Alamar just goes off. He is not happy about being told to be quiet.
Oh, so good.
Well, I think, okay, looking back and looking at my character sheet, I played Mia perfectly. Like, Mia is, at times, considering herself to be quite a big deal. And, potentially part god and a little bit of a big ego and
the Brightwood name.
Yeah, and the Brightwood name, she's, like, extremely proud of Beric and Thor and her family name and, like, would die for them, like, to protect them and the honor that comes with that name, so she wasn't having it.
Yeah, and it means nothing to Alamar. Alamar was shitting on your heritage, really.
Yeah.
So you're like a big name actor and you go into the room and he's like, I've not seen any of your movies, nor do I care.
No, it's more like, I've seen your movies and they're shit. Quite frankly.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's what it is.
That's
what it
what it was.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, then we get Mia's really, really, really great speech.
Oh, here it comes.
This is my joke here.
For any of you fans of The Office out there, here you go.
Well, I'm going to play my speech first, and then I'm going to play Michael Scott second, and you will see the familiarities or similarities. Are there any other resources, secret volumes, locked away anywhere, any little book tucked somewhere? We need access to that. Not just the Keep's resources, any other resources in Heraklion. Okay, so it's me saying any about 15,000 times and continuing to repeat myself with saying things like private and secret and just repetitive statements.
Any. Are there any?
Anyone, anywhere, any. All right, here's Michael Scott.
Don't ever, for any reason, do anything to anyone, for any reason, ever, no matter what, no matter where, or who you are with, or where you are going, or where you've been.
Ever. For any reason whatsoever. For any reason whatsoever. So, like, as we're listening back to that, I was like, oh my gosh, I must have been watching that episode recently, because sometimes I start a sentence and I don't know where it goes. And it's kind of like an improv sentence happening. It's an improv sentence. That's what Michael Scott says.
I think this whole Almar study conversation was one of my favorite bits of RP that we've ever done on the show, and I think Almar is my new favorite NPC, hands down. Oh, I love him. He had one line like, "Oh, just because he's a fucking asshole, I just love it." And
yes, he is.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I really like him.
You love playing the a-holes. You do a good job.
It comes naturally.
Yeah.
We're getting quite caught up. Well, yeah, exactly. It comes naturally. Good point, John. I don't want that to go unnoticed. We're getting pretty caught up to how much we've played, which is awesome, and that's part of what March Madness was all about. But I think Alamar's probably going to have some big roles to play over the next couple play sessions we have, I'm betting. It's going to be really interesting to see if Falzarin runs into Alamar and what happens there. And if there's a big showdown. Huck and fireballs.
I forget where we left off, to be honest.
Dimension dooring all over the place.
Which, that's pretty much the end of 76. And starting on 77 is Shaft Solo. And this is something I do want to talk to Leon about without any of you listening.
All right,
everybody's off. So let's talk about the room real quick. So there was a few things. We go down there, and I was listening back to it. He does cast spells to be able to get into the room, right?
You saw him, do some type of incantation and some type of spell.
Which is very going to be a problem when we get back to play again, because we ended at a certain spot where that's going to be very difficult to talk about. So in the room, we have 3 zombies in different levels of deterioration, right?
I think there was 4 of them, yeah.
Oh, there's 4. I'm sorry. I can remember. Okay. I remember you went through the items on the shelf, and he actually did look through the different things as he was down there. There was 3 scrolls at the bottom in casings, or in cases, I believe.
Yeah.
And I remember we talked afterwards, and you were sort of surprised that I didn't take any of those.
Yeah.
And I think the idea, my concern was 2 things. Number 1, I was going to run out of time, and I was going to become visible again. And number 2, though, I didn't want to disturb anything. I didn't want anything to be noticed that somebody was there to set him off to be concerned that somebody had broke into this secret library, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But when I did listen back to it, I kicked myself, because what I wanted to do, and I didn't at the time because I think we came into the time period thing, is I wanted to go over when he was writing in this journal that he had. he was looking at these reference books and writing things down. So that journal has to have the pertinent information that we need, right? He's done all the work looking through the books. What I wanted to do was knock over the inkwell, and then as he went to try to clean his papers, steal the journal.
Snag the book.
That's what I should have done, and I kicked myself for not doing that.
Oh, man.
So that was what I was most frustrated with.
So, okay, so let me ask you about that. Had you done that, what would you have shared that with the rest of the party? What would have come afterwards then?
So I think I would have looked at it first to see if there was anything I could understand. And if it was all stuff that was beyond my spell abilities, I would probably share it with Falzarin.
Okay.
But I think right now I have concerns about Mia and Shakara. They seem like they're a little bit too much wild cards in this thing. So so mainly I know it's there. I haven't shared it with anybody yet, and I think they know that the room is there, right?
Not in this batch of episodes, but where we are in our play, yeah.
I mean, okay, so Falzarin knows there's a room.
Falzarin found it himself, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I think those are the things I wish I could go back to do, is probably take the scrolls outside of the covers and left them the covers there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The cases, yeah. I should have done that, and then the other regret, of course, was not snagging that book. Now, I don't really get the whole zombie thing, so that's still, I've got a lot of thinking to do there on why he's doing that. So you have any other questions for me?
No, I think those are all very astute observations, and I'm glad that you came to them. Because they will be important.
Okay. Yes, I'm afraid they are. Okay. But yeah, listening back to it, I thought, damn it, I should have just did it. But I was so worried about the time running out, and all of a sudden me going, bink, popping in the room in front of him might have been bad. So, okay, that's all.
So that kind of moves us into Falzarin and Shakara's little solo there. Or Shakara's solo with Falsey eavesdropping. So I guess, well, just with the two of them and no one else to talk about. Because I want to talk. Man, I want to see what they have to talk about.
Why do I even come back?
I know, sorry. Okay, wow. Falzarin, you're sleuthing this batch of episodes, I gotta say, pretty on point. Pretty unwizardly-like.
I was very, very excited about taking invisibility.
Channeling your inner Bryn.
Yeah, I mean, that's accurate. There were some other spells that I really was tempted to take, but invisibility just has so much utility.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
So I was really excited. And Falsey, I've always played Falsey as liking utility spells as well, like using, a huge throwback to using Mage Hand to smack the
flesh golem.
The flesh golem in the back of the head when he's fighting the Arcanist in session 1. So as much as he likes to, do evocation stuff, utility's fun.
Mm-hmm. All right, so what did you think about this conversation that Shakar had with Isabella?
Well, that was some stuff that was said. That's for sure.
Yep.
Oh man, it's fantastic to finally have a little bit of a peek behind what's going on with all the hostility and know a bit more. I'm quite suspicious of Campbell, which
why ever so?
Which hurts me deeply because I love Campbell. But yeah, it sounds like I don't think Campbell's necessarily a bad guy, but he's being influenced by this primordial force or being, which is crazy. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe Campbell's still a good guy or always was a good guy and doesn't know what to think about this powerful being who's feeding him information about Falsey being bad, or maybe Campbell's been turned, based on what Isabella said about these primordial beings sometimes having a major influence on mortal people. And then there's the little thing that Shakara said about having to take Falzarin out.
just a little bit about that.
No big deal. No
and
big
is
deal.
he being okay with it?
Yeah, is he being fine with it? Yeah.
Well, if you must. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Izzy. Jerk.
Oh, man. I am just ecstatic that Isabella is back. Oh, man.
Yeah, me too.
Fuck. Every interaction with Isabella and Shakara, was so good. So good.
What about Isabella saying she has a connection with Erica?
Yeah, so that's definitely going to influence later episodes, I think. We will see that coming into play. Because if Isabella knows whether Erica is dead or alive, like Falzarin hopes and assumes that Erica is dead, but he's not certain about it, and he can't. There's no way for him to be certain.
Are you more or less? Which side are you now leaning to, both of you, after hearing what Isabella had to say?
Erica's alive. Erica's totally alive.
Yeah, I think she probably is.
Minus an arm, maybe, but
yeah. Before hearing that, Falzarin was probably like 75% plus, thinking that Izzy's dead. Erica is dead.
Erica's dead.
But, that little bit of him, the back of his mind is just kind of like chewing away or gnawing away, being like, oh, what if she's not?
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, crap. She's more than likely still alive.
Well, as Gozer said, dead's not dead till see dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gozer's words of wisdom.
Yeah, right. It was part of this conversation was about the Infinite Storm, too, and why it would have ceased. But what didn't come in, because, obviously Shakara didn't mention it, but like Erica's lair totally collapsed and was destroyed as well, in addition to her being injured or killed or whatever is happening with her. So that could have influenced the storm's power as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hadn't really thought about the storm being a concentration spell or spell-like ability that would end just by her being severely injured, which makes a lot of sense. Or, like you said, the lair having something to do with it, and the lair being destroyed and collapsing, releasing its power over the Infinite Storm.
Yeah.
Falsey was really excited about the disappearance of the Infinite Storm being evidence that Eric is dead. I don't think he can cling to that anymore.
Nope.
It's going to be really interesting to see how Falzarin plays out the upcoming interactions with Shakara, given his knowledge.
I'm coming for you.
I'm sure an evocation wizard will have no problems with a Dragonborn.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, Emily, what does Shakara think about Izzy?
I'm trying to remember what all they told her about Izzy, and I don't think they really told her a lot other than she's not good and Falzarin had some run-ins with her. I don't know if they ever told her that she was a hag. I don't know if Shakara knows that.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But I mean, like, Shakara saw what Erica's arm looked like, and they're supposed to be sisters, so I don't know what kind of 2 and 2 she can put together there. But I mean, Isabella seemed to be very upfront with Shakara as far as her dealings with. I mean, she admitted to putting out a hit on her sister.
yeah, really, and then said she's not powerful enough to take Erica down herself.
Down Erica,
which is.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be something totally. Erica's bad, but Isabella's not powerful enough to take Erica out, so maybe Isabella's not as bad or not bad like Erica is. Because once again, just because somebody's siblings doesn't mean they're both bad.
Sure. I mean, Isabella is walking around with 2 non-flesh golemed, I swear, bodyguards.
Which Shakara doesn't know. She just knows they're 2 bodyguards that are completely covered up and don't talk.
Right.
So that could be anything. I think Shakara's in a lot of denial right now. A lot.
Yeah. I mean, even in your second little solo part, like, Shakara's just like getting advice anywhere she can look for it.
Yes.
It seems. Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that Izzy was so seemingly honest with her and took the news that Shakara is supposed to kill Falsey, who Izzy's supposed to be tied to, and seemed to be understanding about the situation that Shakara is in. If Falzarin and Shaft wanted to go after Izzy, Shakara would have a problem with that.
Interesting. Well, I mean, basically your entire conversation was framed in the guise of the means justify the ends, right? That was all this greater good kind of discussions that the two of you were really getting around. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Isabella hinted at, her reasons for wanting Erica kaput and outsourcing.
All comes down to saving the world. You got to save the world.
I was really surprised at how forthright Izzy was with Shakara. I was expecting her to be a lot more cunning and less honest.
Me too.
She kind of spilled a lot of beans, so that I think that's telling.
I was surprised at how forthcoming Shakara was, quite honestly.
I don't know how much of that was Emily wanting Bill to know some information.
I was going to ask about that. Yeah. Because obviously, Emily, you knew that Bill was here, like on listening in.
Right,
so.
Right.
I think that, like you said, it kind of makes sense that Shakara is just looking around for any advice or information she can get to help sort herself out of this mess that's going on inside her head. Like, she's really, I think, mixed up about what to think about Falzarin and potentially Campbell and all this stuff.
Very much so, yeah.
So people who are in that situation are more likely to spill more beans in order to maybe get some insight from an outside perspective.
It's a third party who's not currently involved, and you guys, Falsey and Isabella and Shaft and Isabella, and Mia doesn't know her at all. You're not particularly close, so if I tell Izzy something, there's not as much of a chance that she's going to come back and tell you guys.
Right.
And she's impartial to my situation to an extent, to where I need to take care of Falsey, but. And she said she had information, so now I'm like grasping at straws to get any information about my situation.
Right. So how much more susceptible does Shakara's current frame of mind make her, though, to treachery, to being taken advantage of, to maybe being led down a bad path for her?
Probably shouldn't tell the one that would be in charge of leading her down that path, but yeah, probably. I mean, Isabella could definitely dangle some strings right now.
Well, yeah, sure. She's known to some of the players and characters to have done so in the past, but I mean, quite frankly, everybody you're meeting are complete strangers, and there's so much shit going on, even in Heracleon, that may or may not be directly tied to the Kraken business or the Paladin stuff. Like, it's all not great.
No. I want a happy place. Where's the happy place in this bar, Leland? There's got to be somewhere that's just happy.
It's the library in Heracleon.
There you go.
Not.
Yeah, it's the knowledge center.
Not.
It's all a matter of perspective.
There were no coloring books, damn it.
Well, maybe Shakara never should have left her village, and she would have been fine.
Yeah, that's the happy place.
Yeah, you left the happy place.
I did.
Yeah, that was definitely a very, very interesting little exchange there, and I'm stoked that Falzarin was able to listen in on it, because I think it makes perhaps some resolution of this inter-party feud and mistrust more able to be addressed.
Let me ask you this, Bill. How do you think that Keck factors into all of this mistrust then.
I honestly don't know what to make of Keck. I have not ever had any like fantastic idea, and I still don't quite get like where did she come from? Where does she get this information? There's this primordial being that's feeding someone that Shakara knows, a good friend of Shakara's, I think she said. So it's not Keck. Information about Falzarin being bad. And then there's also Keck, who claims that Falzarin is bad. And she had goggles that supported that.
Showed you were bad.
Yeah. I've got no idea, to be honest. I'm sure there's smarter people out there who could maybe piece some things together, but I don't know. I don't know what to make of Keck, other than that I'm just appalled by Emma at this point. Just can't believe she would do this to Falzarin. That's what I take away from Keck.
She still wants to kill you, Falzarin.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I am glad. I do think, like, finally, this honestly is like the first instance of Falzarin getting some type of upper hand. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it always, like, to date, I mean, the lot of you, it's all been reaction. But now, finally, Falzarin has a bit of information that he could possibly proactively take some type of action on. Whether or not that comes down to his future interaction with Isabella or with some more of the elders and stuff, like, it's really good. And I think you utilized your that third level spell slot to make the both of you invisible. I think you utilized it very well. I think so. Oh man, these are really good. This is a really good play session for us for sure.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited about our next one or two play sessions to be able to, like you said, Falzarin's finally got some tools in his tool belt to be able to maybe sort some of this mess out and have a little bit of ammunition on his side if he decides to confront Shakara about her opinion of him or Izzy or the elders. Like, there's finally something for him to work with. Mm-hmm. He's got some info that I mean, who knows how that's going to pan out and how good of a job he's going to do of using that information, and still may blow up in his face. But at least there's something.
One last question for you, and then I'm going to boot you up too, and Emily and I will talk about her last little bit of 77. How poorly do you think Shakara may or may not react when and if Falzarin reveals that he had heard this conversation happen between her and Isabella?
That's the sticky part, right? Like, there's information that if Falzarin knows that, which he does, it could really help, I think, the conversation between them, potentially work towards a resolution. But the way that he got that information is not going to help his case.
Shakara's just going to give you a great big hug.
Yeah.
And everything will be fine.
So
great big fiery hug.
It'd be a real shame if Falsey dies from one of his own party members. Killing him.
That would be a fitting end for Falzarin.
You won't be the first one I've killed.
She's got a taste for it and she wants more.
Yeah, I think Falzarin will have to employ a lot of tact to even begin mending this bridge. That, I mean, quite as far as Falzarin's concerned, anyways, he has had no course in destroying, like no place or hand at tearing down this bridge that was tentatively up, right, for this new friendship.
Yeah, he didn't really do anything to land him in the place that he is right now. It was outside factors that he had no control over and wasn't even aware of, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting.
Maybe you can finally grab the reins here and get a hold of this runaway wagon.
I'm not sure how much each of you are involved in orchestrating this whole plot line, but I like it.
Oh, Leland.
Sounds about right.
All right, get out of here, Bill.
Okay.
So then Shakara goes and has a visit with Geneva Vansk.
Yes.
So what do you think of how that conversation went? You think Shakara learned much more than speaking with Izzy?
Well, yeah, Shakara learned that you can break a pact. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily a good idea, but it's also not a good idea to be in a pact.
Yeah, which is the worst evil.
And that potentially Alamar could help her, but then she would have to get on his good side and be nice to him, which that would take a lot.
Yeah.
And that Alamar's powerful. Alamar is apparently very, very powerful and probably not someone to piss off.
Yeah, and he comes from a very prestigious prestigious bloodline of elves as well, apparently, of powerful elves.
Yeah.
I like Geneva too. I don't know, because Geneva's actually nice, whereas Almar's a dick. So I do like nice NPCs.
She's nice and she's more down to earth, and she's real. She's more real, I think.
Yeah. She was very aware of how bad that situation could be. One, I mean, she's been there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I like that. Down to earth she's kind of level headed, I think.
Yeah. It's amazing that Falzarin thinks it's Campbell. Just Campbell.
That's the best. Yes, that is awesome. That's so good. That's why I really loved the title for 77.
Yeah, I did too.
I was like, oh, I love this title. So yeah, I think and it totally makes sense though that Shakara. I mean, yeah, I was surprised at how upfront Shakara was, but she's still holding back some key bits to protect herself, which completely makes sense, and I think it was an excellent choice. You literally, I mean, because technically you literally are still asking for a friend. You and Campbell are in the shit together.
We're both in.
Yeah,
we're both
you're both branded with Dendar's symbol. Yeah,
right. So yeah, it wouldn't be good enough for just me to get out. I got to get him out too.
Yes, exactly.
If I want to get out.
Right. Shakara's still undecided on that?
Well, I mean, I have a little more. I have a taste of power. Mm-hmm. It just got to do something, and maybe to get a little more power, like, kill somebody that could be a perfectly innocent person.
So what is Shakara's opinion of Dendar right now?
I think deep down she knows Dendar's probably evil, but is completely in denial about that and trying to justify the decisions she's made and justify potential future decisions she will be making. Especially with Geneva saying how Father Limerick,
yeah,
was against Dendar, and the Father Lemmick was definitely evil. So if he's against Dendar, maybe Dendar's not evil. Mm-hmm. So she's like grasping at straws. She's trying to figure out any way she can to make this right in her own head.
Yeah, I think she's received she just has not received any hard facts or even hard opinions. I mean, even Geneva wasn't sure what Dendar's true motivations are. And Keck said that Dendar helped her. Dendar, is helping you and Campbell. I mean, he gave Campbell a source of the goo and a snow bloom. I can see how confused she
is. After the conversation with Izzy, she was definitely thinking, oh my God, Dendar's evil. What have I gotten myself into? And then she went and talked to Geneva and was like, oh, maybe that's not right. Maybe she's not completely evil or not evil or neutral. Neutral's fine. There's nothing wrong with being neutral.
Yeah,
right?
You can work with neutral. I think though you had a really good point though when you asked Geneva, like, why does this power have to be bad? Why cannot something decent come out of it?
If a good person uses power that was given from an evil person, but it's a good person using it, why couldn't that good person do good things with it?
Right.
The trick would be staying good, I think.
Exactly. I mean, will that power corrupt? Absolutely.
And what do you have to do in order to keep or get more power?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Killing Falzarin, unless Falzarin is proven to be evil, killing Falzarin will be an evil act.
Yeah. And I think the both, yes, to get and to keep, though, I think the keep is the real kicker. For, you can get it, but if you do want to be able to wield it for good, there still is a price to pay in which to keep that power. Yeah, it's interesting. I really like this arc for Shakara. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's super interesting. The other thing I was thinking is that both my characters now have disliked Falzarin.
That's funny.
So I don't know if you had that in mind when you set up the thing for Dendar asking for Falzarin to be killed.
Honestly, it was just emergent storytelling with our game. It's all it really is. I mean, like, could have been. How easy would it have been to pit Shakara against Shaft? I mean, Shaft already conducts himself very shadily.
Yeah, but I think Falzarin's much more passive about it. Shaft would have been a lot more in my face, and that probably would have come to a head much sooner.
Much more quickly, yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
And probably one of them would be dead by now.
Right. How do you think things would be right now if you had not taken any action that day at the Knowledge Center against Falzarin?
If I hadn't flame breathed them?
Yes, if you hadn't flame broiled Falzarin and had been able to keep yourself under control, how do you think some of these events would be playing out right now?
If I had calmly brought up, if I had even just mentioned to the group what I had done and told them all about Dendar, we would be everything would be completely different right now, because we would potentially be on a quest to get me out of this pact right now.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, we don't have a history of talking to each other much.
Yeah, I know. Could you imagine if the four of you were talking to Izzy, and you're like, I think we should all go talk to Izzy about Dendar. And I don't know that Shaft would want to at all.
No,
I don't know what. I don't think why would Falzarin want to go talk to Isabella about anything?
Right.
I don't know. But think of the position that would put Isabella in. Although again, she even as a player, that Isabella was up front with you. But of course, Shakara's got to take a stranger at their word for whatever that is worth to Shakara. That would have been really interesting for me too, to be role playing Isabella. It is funny. Yeah, that's true. If you were up front, things would be a lot different. Yeah.
But so that goes back to Shakara, at least in the back of her mind, knowing the situation's not right, because she is somewhat ashamed.
Right, she's still hiding things.
Yeah, and she doesn't want the others to know. It's not because she's being deceptive, it's because she is ashamed of what she let happen. Mm-hmm. And she dragged Campbell into this, or Campbell dragged her into it. Either way, they did it together.
That's true. I mean, there were two keys, though.
Yeah, at any point, either one of them could have said no.
That's true.
But I wanted to be a warlock.
And it did kind of seem like a package deal, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I hope we get back to the mainland. I mean, as much as I'm enjoying the time in Heraklion, I would be interested. I'm interested in checking in with Campbell.
Yeah, Shakara definitely needs to talk to him. There's so much she needs to say to him. Yeah. And hopefully he has information for her, because there's lots of stuff he's supposed to be figuring out, too.
Yep, absolutely.
Definitely it'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's cool. Let's get everybody back on.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much it, right? That takes us to the end of the last episode. Yeah. We had a couple question comments.
Super McDad posted some stuff into our Discord, which Leland and I pretty much answered.
Oh.
Okay, cool. There you go, Davey Dave. Well, Jess has a few. She says that there's lots that she wants to ask, but isn't quite clear on what some of us do and don't know.
Hopefully this after party will clear up some of that.
Yeah, right. She asked, though, I thought the magic that Isabella practices was forbidden in Heraklion. Does Falzarin plan to reveal to anyone in Heraklion that she is his patron?
So, two things, I guess. Revealing that there's a patron pact thing going on there is one thing that Falzarin's keeping in his back pocket, and also revealing her true identity and magic that she uses, all that sort of stuff, is another kind of card that Falzarin is keeping close to his chest in his hand that may or may not be played based on how things play out, whether there's a confrontation. And I don't know what Falzarin's going to do with that information. It's certainly, I look at it as some ammunition that Falzarin might be able to fall back on should he need to.
Shaft has that card too,
Yep, that's true.
Yes, he does, yeah.
So it'll be really, really interesting. We haven't quite made it there yet in any play sessions, so that's one of the things I'm really excited about, is how this Elder Izzy situation is going to play out. Yeah, I can't wait to play. But great question, as always, Jess.
That's a good question. Yes, thank you, Jessica. I do just give you a hard time. You know that. A lot of the time, it feels like we have a lot of content, which we do, usually in the backlog, but it also feels like we don't achieve very much. And like, there's always so much that I know you all want to do. And some of our, just like, it's a shame sometimes when we don't get to do a lot of that stuff. I mean, I know, again, I fucking bitch about the NPC guests every time, but they do interrupt everything. So that's one huge factor. That's one huge factor as to why a lot of these threads don't get, resolved or tidied up in a timely manner. Just shit happens. I mean, I guess within the game, life kind of happens.
I guess if you want to take responsibility for telling Matthew Jude that we're going to have to cancel.
That's fine.
Jude feud.
I've already sent him 3 messages to that fact, and he has yet to reply. So,
because I've been sending him messages saying, "Don't listen to Leland."
He has heard that you're very muscly.
Yeah. I would argue Keck did advance the story.
Yeah, I agree.
So when I say interrupt, I don't necessarily mean they're interrupting any type of advancement, but they are interrupting specific goals, I think. I know one thing that Falzarin wanted to do immediately when he got to Heraklion was talk to Catalina. And look how long that has been delayed. You've already been here 2 days, and that hasn't even been a thing really on anybody's radar just because so much other shit is happening.
Falzarin's been a busy boy.
Yeah. He's got a busy social calendar.
I mean, it's all about Falzarin. We've talked about this.
He's the fan favorite. What can I say? Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know how much we've talked about this on mic and off. Certainly we've talked about it extensively off mic, but I really like the NPC guests. As much as they maybe...
I do too.
Let's not go down that rabbit hole again.
Yeah. I know, everybody fucking likes the NPC guys. All right, we get it. She continues to ask. She says, I remember a while back you guys talking about adding certain things to your character flaw list, aka trust issues for Falzarin after Brendel. Does that just guide roleplay, or do some flaws ever impact the challenge level of making a roll? That's a really good question, as usual. And I think generally those flaws are strictly for roleplay. But a lot of ways through roleplay, you can affect different story beats, right? And I think it's feasible to say that if a character comes up into a certain situation and they have a specific flaw, that I could give them disadvantage on a skill check that they are rolling.
Yeah, I mean, with Mia and Alamar, for instance, right? Like, one of my flaws, I get very defensive if someone attacks Beric, my family, or Thor. That's one of my flaws.
There you go.
So, like, you could be, if Almar was like, whatever, I had to do some roll, you could give me disadvantage for telling him to shut up.
Exactly. Like if I had gotten you to make a persuasion roll maybe in the time. But also, I think, especially during these longer form role play periods, I ask for very few skill checks. So I don't think that opens up that opportunity a lot. One, because I feel like most of the time asking for excessive skill checks, it's just going to bog everything down, and it breaks our immersion. I think it breaks immersion in general. And I also think that a lot of the times, because the four of you are such great role players, that I don't necessarily need a number to determine whether or not what you are saying is convincing or aggressive enough or deceptive enough a lot of that time.
What are fishermen gonna do? I got real riled up.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, Elena even mentioned, like, it mentioned that Falzarin has trust issues, but she didn't feel like Bill is role playing those trust issues.
There haven't been a lot of opportunities for
Bill.
for
the
that
whole
to play
Keck
out.
thing. Come on.
I guess. Okay.
Hi, I'm Falzarin. It's like, all
Right, but like, I don't think introducing yourself by name is all that crazy.
I don't know.
Yeah, to what severity are you going to take that flaw, right?
Right.
Like, Falzarin's going to walk around everywhere with a dark hood over his head and not say a word to anybody unless he's casting a fireball. Like,
right. It's a personality trait too, right? I mean, who he is, he would struggle as a personality trait. He's that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And then, occasionally he might come into a situation where he goes, "Oh shit, I probably shouldn't have said that."
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think this new flaw that Falzarin has developed, this kind of scar, is very contrary to the type of person that he's been his whole life. So it's in his nature to be more outgoing and friendly to people, but at the same time he's got a bit of contrast going on,
internally.
a bit of tug of war. Yeah, exactly.
Because Falzarin being slower to trust and less likely to form trusting relationships does not mean that is the same for the other way around. That does not mean that he doesn't present himself as being a trustworthy person for strangers. So that still also, I think, factors into Falzarin's overall civility towards a new person just pass that on their porch.
Yeah, sure.
I think I'm trying to sort of, with Shaft, trying to help Falzarin understand, his limitations on, with the things that he needs to, shut up.
Right.
You don't need to say that. Hey, this is probably for the best. And in turn, I think Leland said it at the last after party, sort of like Shaft's taking him under his wing to a degree and teaching him some things that he had maybe learned in his past. Faults
so
that he may have had.
how much gold would Shaft have left for that scroll?
None.
Absolutely none.
Nothing.
So you're not teaching him well enough.
Well, I don't know any. I couldn't even see him take the scroll. It was invisible. But no, if I would have been there with him, I would have went, what's your conflict here? Take the goddamn thing, is what Shaft would have advised.
Yeah.
And she finishes just congratulating us on meeting our first Patreon goal.
Woo!
Woo!
Which, for those unfamiliar, means that 4 times a year we will be producing what we're calling mini campaigns, which are a little longer form than just like a 2 to 3 hour one shot, maybe more like 4 to 6. Probably longer with us. I don't know. I don't know.
So exciting.
10 to 12.
That's kind of long, but it's.
She continues, does this mean we finally get a DM session from Elena?
Ooh.
We didn't discuss that.
and finishes with, if there are any RPG systems that we are excited to play for the mini campaigns, as we are using it as an excuse, more than anything, to try different systems and change it up a bit, just even for us too. I think it could be very refreshing and prevent the main show from potentially becoming stale for us as players.
I feel like John really, really keeps mentioning Cthulhu. He really, really wants to play it.
No, I do. I want to play Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, I think I'm on board with that. Call of Cthulhu sounds interesting, and it's one of the more popular ones, right? Like, there's probably a reason why it's played so much. So I'd be up for that. There's so many out there, though. Man, it's like overwhelming trying to decide which ones to look at.
I mean, Patreon only polls. We don't have to decide. We can just poll.
That's right. We will be putting up a poll. That is one of the benefits of being a $5 backer or higher to, one, get access to this exclusive mini campaign content, and to be able to have a say in which system. And hey, any suggestions for systems?
Yeah, I think the two I'm excited about doing is End of the World, because you all play yourself.
Yeah.
What?
And then the other one, yeah.
I don't want to play myself.
One is,
I hate myself.
Okay, come on. Actually, we all know that's not true.
Shut up.
Paranoia is another fun one. We've done that. We've played that once before, and it's really chaotic.
I can definitely play Paranoid person. Is that where you play yourself or no?
No.
Tin Hat.
Yeah, maybe I'll DM one of these days. I mean, we are in the middle of a pandemic with all the time in the world, but then do I take the time to come up with a campaign? No. But should I? Probably.
No, you don't make one up. You just go to a DM's Guild or any other place where that has tons of things you could download and use.
Yeah, familiarize myself with
there you
one.
Go.
Right.
To run it. Yeah.
And that's a good point, Dan. Like, I've got there's been handfuls of sales now on DM's Guild, and I've nabbed up this or that or the other supplement or whatever book about a different campaign that was on sale. So like there's a ton of content that I already own that Elena and I can look into.
So let's frickin' do it. We'll put a one-shot out on the main feed. I want to play again.
I found it. Yep. I've got another one-shot too.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too, Leland, that we still do want to do one-shots on the main feed as well, I think, right? We have come to that decision that just because we have Patreon now and we're going to have some more content that's available to patrons doesn't mean that we're not going to do one-shots on the main feed that'll be free as well. So that'll be good. I don't know. I'm a little bit... I don't think I'm going to go for a Romanian accent the next time we do a one-shot, but we'll see what I can come up with.
I don't know. If Evan plays again, we should just continue. I want to
continue with the same characters.
I want to play Jacques again, yeah.
Oh, I love Pam.
Yeah, Jacques and Pam were pretty cool.
Y'all level up and you'll go through my fun house.
I like the concept of Judge Dredd. I just, doing that accent makes me sweat.
When you say fun house, you're talking circus, clowns, or something?
I'm talking funhouse.
Oh no, her smile, you guys. It's so evil.
Evil smile.
That laugh. We talking... Oh, Pam. Leland and I need to have our off-mic moments together, like the rest of you got to have, so...
Nope, you missed out.
Everyone off mic.
You had your opportunity and it's gone now.
We'll just shit talk the rest of them, just you and I.
Well, our number one fan, Mike, said he loved the March Madness. He loved getting the extra episodes, and he really liked the brackets. Unfortunately, he wanted to have Rugar sweep the finals, as did I. And he wanted to see Rugar go up against Barry Good-for-Nothing, the Badger.
Well, first off,
that's
uncalled for.
Barry should. I mean, he almost made it. Rugar was right there,
yeah.
But Barry was obviously the best. He just got shit on.
Yeah, poor Barry.
Barry was not the best.
Oh, poor Barry. Yeah. Barry destroyed Blake Lakely, though.
Yeah, he did.
Rightfully so.
Loving every minute of that.
He was tired of being kept in the drawer. All those years of being in the drawer.
Yeah. He got his revenge after all.
he likes all the extra content. He can't get enough. He likes it when we kick each other off mic. It keeps the story moving and interesting. He knows it's a lot of work, but he loves it, and he told Leland to stop complaining about his comment. And he says we do a great job of weaving each of the stories and backstories together, and I'm supposed to not let Leland let the compliment go to his head.
All right.
Yes, I do a fantastic job. Thank you.
I don't listen to a ton of other podcasts, but I feel like we do something special there, and we just, like, really make it work and make it us. So I'm glad people like it.
Not every podcast has Leland Steele, so yeah, it's something special.
Yeah.
Well, there's
I'm
that
not doing
too.
my job, Mike. Sorry, I let you down.
Leland Steele is wearing sleeves today on his shirt.
Don't hurt yourself trying to reach around to pat yourself on the back there, buddy.
Give myself a reach around from the 9th level of the abyss.
Not to toot my own horn, but toot toot.
Rotator cuff injuries are a real thing. Yeah, I don't think many other people do that, the off mic thing. I'm sure there are some, but it's not really common, and I really like it. I think it's interesting. So I'm glad to hear that listeners like it too.
I did want to bring up the cool new fan art page we have now on our website. Jessica has just finished the picture of Shaft, which is awesome.
He is quite
so
handsome.
You should go check that out. Yeah, of course he is.
Very good looking.
A handsome little hobbit. Yeah, no, Jess has done a fantastic. I'm such an idiot. She asked me like eons ago for some description of what Falzarin's face looked like, and I just locked up under pressure. So Falzarin's drawn except for his face, basically. Jess is very talented.
Yeah, definitely check it out. All right, contest?
Yeah. One more order of business before we let everyone go. I think we had mentioned we were going to do a giveaway starting April 1st.
Oh, what day is it? My goodness.
Today is the 4th.
It's not April 1st.
That was an April Fool's joke there.
Yeah, that was
April Fool's.
very much premeditated.
Well, I think that very distinctly makes us the fool.
Well, a giveaway is never late, nor is it early. It arrives precisely when it needs to. So, the main reason it didn't launch April 1st is because there was a bit of a ball dropped on getting you, beloved listeners, an opportunity to get a bit of bonus entries into the contest, and we didn't get that out in time, included in an after party or an episode or whatever. So, just so you're aware, this is going to be your instructions for how to get super bonus entries. I think we're going to be crazy and give you 10 bonus entries if you tweet at us or email us or get in touch with us, whatever your preferred means of getting in touch with us, and use the hashtag voice of reason. We're doing a little hat tip to Shaft there. You'll get 10 bonus entries, and you can still enter via the normal means, which will be across all of our social medias. We've already mentioned it, but this is going to be a hand-painted mini done by John. If you want to take a look at some examples of stuff he's painted in the past, you can head over to our website. He's updated that with some great pictures on there, and he's very, very talented, so I'm sure anyone who wins this will be getting a great product. We're also going to do, this one will be public, this hashtag. If you hashtag at us with Incorrigible Party, and then pick one of your favorite NPCs or player characters or whoever you want that you like, that'll be a bonus entry as well. But we wanted to do something that was a bit more special, to make sure that our loyal listeners who've been with us all along get an opportunity to get a bit of a leg up in winning this prize. So get in touch with us with hashtag voice of reason.
Best hashtag ever.
So that'll be starting the day that this drops, which is Monday, and it'll be running for 7 days.
Beauty.
All right, let's wrap this up. I've been John and Shaft.
I'm Emily and Shakara.
I've been Elena and Mia.
I've been Bill and Falzarin.
And I'm Leland Big Ego Steele. Happy adventuring.
We just have to go to that commune somewhere in central Canada somewhere.
Yeah.
And then
we're going to Alberta.
We'll just all live together on the commune.
I mean, a commune's sounding pretty good now if we're isolating. I mean, would we be breaking the law? No, because there's groups of 5 people or more are banned. We are 5 people. It's perfect.
That's true.
Leland, you're forever alone. Sorry. You can have Frankie.
You can never have a spouse now, Leland. We can't have a 6th person.
Well, you know what? It was kind of already heading that way as it was. So. Yeah, until one of you died.
Until John dies, then you get Emily.
Hey, we don't know.
Is that the consolation prize? Or
we don't know who's gonna go first.
He just turned 50. Come on.
So if Emily goes first, I get John then, right?
He's got a foot in the door, man.
Yes.
that's right. Clock's ticking.
You and John shack up.
Oh my gosh, if John does die first, I'm going to sound so mean.